We can't always control what happens to us in life, but we can always control how we react. My name's Lefty, and today I'm going to talk about what I think is the most important thing to understand when it comes to choosing these reactions, and that is programming. From the moment we are born, we're being programmed by everything we experience in life. Mostly we learn who we are from our parents by watching them and how they react to other people, seeing their insecurities, the way they interact with us, whether they tell us off for doing one thing, whether they encourage something else, whether they tell you to be quiet or speak up. All of these things they are telling you when you're a child. It's creating the personality of who you will be when you're an adult and what you believe about yourself and who you are. If you grow up in an environment where you're constantly being put down by your parents or you're constantly being told that you're not good enough, when you grow up, that is going to have some effect on you in your subconscious mind. And that set point of who you think you are is going to affect every interaction you have with people. These beliefs you have about yourself from the programming you received when you were a child not only dictate who you think you are, but also who you think other people think you are. And it's not just your parents. From the time you go to school, your teachers, the other children, family members, all these interactions with people. If people are always looking down on you when you're a child because they have this internal programming that affects them to judge you in a certain way, you take that on board and bring it into yourself because you don't understand when you're a child that other people's judgments, thoughts and perceptions are just a representation of the programming they have received. So you're taking it in as your internal programming. I know it's a complicated thing to understand. I'll give you an example. My wife, Catherine, when we first started going out, we got fish and chips for dinner. And we opened it up and she instantly started eating the chips and nothing else that was in the packet. And I would say to her, why are you eating all the chips? And she was like, you're not allowed to eat anything else, like the fish or anything else, until all the chips are gone. And I was like, that is not a thing. And she was like, it is. That's what the rule always was when we were growing up. And I told her, the reason why you were told to eat all the chips before you could eat anything else is because your dad wanted to eat all the fish. And she was like, no. And then she called her dad and he confirmed what I had said. And see, her and her two brothers all believed the same thing. What we're taught as children creates our beliefs as adults. And your beliefs create the reality you perceive in the world. I'll give you another example. Imagine one day somebody says, you look really good. Now the person says you look really good, maybe saying it because they don't believe in themselves and they desperately need other people to like them, so they're giving you this compliment. Or they're saying it because they actually do think you look good. Or they're saying it because they're jealous of you. You never know somebody's intentions behind what they're saying because you don't know their internal programming. And when you hear somebody tell you you look good, maybe your mother raised you or your father raised you in a way that they always put an emphasis on your looks. And you resent that now as an adult, that I am more than my looks. So when somebody tells you that you look good, it's actually painful. You don't take it as a compliment. And that way you can see that there's two different conversations going on, two different interpretations of a conversation. And I believe that very rarely are two people having the same conversation because there is all this programming and all this mental baggage behind what people say and all these different intentions that what one person is saying is going out through their filter of perception towards you, and you're receiving it through your filter and you're putting it back out again. And people are very rarely actually understand what another person is trying to say because you can only perceive of what you know and what is part of your programming, and you can only give out what you know and what is part of your programming. I was adopted when I was a baby, and I didn't realize until I was much older that a lot of my interactions with people and the way that I was always being as nice as I could be and really desperate to get people to like me created this personality that I had of really coming across as arrogant and acting like I was above people, but it's complete opposite of how I felt inside, and people misinterpreted that a lot. And it was because I had this fear of abandonment, because I guess as a child I felt like I wasn't good enough for my mother, and my mother who gave me up. And I had this fear of being abandoned, so I put up this wall like I didn't care, like I was quite stoic, that there was no getting to me. But on the inside, I was desperate for people to like me. And this desperation caused me to build this barrier, this facade that actually pushed people away, because my fear was manifesting into my reality. That was my internal programming. And it wasn't until I became aware of this internal programming as an adult that I was able to take that wall down and change the way I behaved. Because once you realize that the way you react to people and interact with people is all a part of your internal programming, you can rewrite the program. And that's when you take your strength back, and that's when you take your control back. And that's sort of when you wake up to, oh, everything I believed about myself and I believed about the world was affected by all these things I learned when I was a child from other people. Not from me, from other people. And then I began to search myself to find out, well, if all I am is an amalgamation of what I've learned from other people, who am I really without that? And then started a process that I like to call weeding the garden. And that's what I'll talk about in my next video. Thank you guys for listening. I hope that was clear. And I hope I'm getting better at this. You know, I'm trying to make as many of these as I can so I can practice and get better and better. I believe that what I'm saying has value, but I don't believe that the way I'm conveying it is the best way sometimes. But you know, that's a part of my programming, that lack of self-belief. So I'm working on it. Thank you guys for watching, and thanks for letting me practice on you.